always appreciate we get an opportunity to visit with our buddy Todd McClure. Last time he was in studio, we were surprising him with his election into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. This is going to be probably a less enjoyable conversation, but we always enjoy when we get to talk to T-Mac. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate y'all having me on.
The Snapback with T-Mac is the new show. I mean, you're trying to take all of our jobs?
No, man. Matt, what I'm trying to do, I enjoy it. Me and my son are able to talk a little football. You know, it's maybe something he wants to do later on in life. He's a senior in high school, so it's a good way for us to bond a little bit, and I'll talk football 24/7 if I had the opportunity.
Is it Facebook only, or y'all do YouTube as well?
No, we're on Facebook, YouTube, MySpace, if you still have MySpace.
No.
But, yeah, our YouTube, we're trying to grow the YouTube a little bit.
Oh, man. Snapback with T-Mac, if you want to give it a follow. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this offensive line, man. I remember you and I, we talked before the season started, and I kind of asked you, 5 new starters, like what's realistic as far as how quickly 5 new players can come together? Well, now we're halfway through the season. So give me your assessment of how difficult it is for 5 new players to come together as one and where they are right now.
Yeah, Matt, it's extremely difficult. And I know we talked before the season got started, and, you know, the talk going into the Clemson game was, you know, the 5 starters and maybe 2 or 3 more guys that would rotate in. And we said, you know, if you got 8 guys that are probably going to play, then you may not have 5. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that right now. I hate talking bad about college kids, but Weston Davis is really struggling. You know, he's a guy that's long and tall, and he's not using his length at all. He's letting guys get into his body, and he has really struggled. And I think that has hurt us on the offensive line. But I think it's the transfer portal era where, you know, if a receiver, you can go see if a guy can run and catch. You know, a linebacker, you can see if he can get off of blocks and make tackles. The hardest part of that transfer portal era for me is finding a cohesive unit of offensive linemen. And the days of building that, you know, when I was playing, we had 4 guys that came in the same recruiting class, and you know, we grinded together for 3, some of us 4 years before you got the opportunity to get on the field, and you built chemistry. And I think a little bit of that is lost right now.
We'll get right back to the video, but thrilled to welcome Our Lady of the Lake to AFR LSU. As the championship health partner of LSU athletics, the physicians at Our Lady of the Lake serve the champions on the field in the purple and gold, but that same level of care is available to you and your family. I've been a proud supporter of Our Lady of the Lake my entire life, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom as a high schooler to helping so many of the fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital, to my own son being a patient now at that very Children's Hospital, and my primary care physician, Dr. Kurt Chastain at Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Our Lady of the Lake has been a part of my medical journey my entire life, and you can learn more as well. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Can you elaborate a little more on, like, in a way that maybe the listener who's never played on the offensive line could understand why it's so important and equally so difficult? Like, what you mean by, like, 5 need to play as one?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can think back, I'll just use my days in Atlanta, for instance. I had a guy when we had our most success, Justin Blaylock. Justin Blaylock was my left guard, and we played together for 5 years. So I knew, say we were running zone to the left, inside zone to the left, I knew what his first step was going to be like, and I knew where I had to fit on that combination block to get up to the next back, to get up to the linebacker. And if we're going outside zone, I knew the speed he was going to come off with and where I needed to fit. My hat needed to be a little more play side, but I knew where I had to be with Blaylock for 5 years. And I think now, you know, with these guys a little bit, you're rolling at left guard. We're having, you know, some injuries and some struggles there, and just not fitting well on combination blocks across the board, and too many guys playing on an edge of a defender, and a defender's able to cover 2 gaps when he can do that to you.
Todd McClure is our guest. You mentioned Davis, and I share the same sentiment as you, man. He's a young guy. He's trying hard. He's a physically imposing young guy. He's, I think, going to be an awesome player. But there's also some objective truth, Todd. I think we all recognize he struggled. Look, he got pulled in the second half of Louisiana Tech. It's a thing that we can all see, right? But you said something interesting there where you said, like, he's not using his length. He's letting guys. He's 6'7", Todd. He's a giant.
Yeah,
What
I know.
What would you? I know you're not the coach, and we don't know what they're doing in practice. But like, if you were working with him, like, what would you work on with him? What would you have him do?
Yeah, for him, I'm watching this last game. Of course, he was going against Stewart, who was an absolute stud.
Yeah.
And with his hands, he was reactive instead of being proactive. And what I mean by that is he was waiting on Stewart or letting him get into him before he did anything with his hands. And some of the best tackles I played with that were tall, long guys, they would do things with their hands to show that defensive end. They would put a hand out there and let him swat at it, and then they would pull it back and then get in his chest, So it would be little things working on his punch, his eyes. I think his eyes are all wrong, the target he's looking at, because you watch him on his pass sets and he's oversetting guys, or he's not setting far enough. And his eyes and his hands, I think you would drill forever, and I think that's something that he has to improve on, and I think he will. He's a young player who has a lot of talent. He's getting thrown into the fire right now, and I think we'll look up in 3 years and he'll be a strength to this program.
Yeah, he is former Tiger great Todd McClure, newly elected member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He's part of the Falcons Ring of Honor. By the way, did you see what the Falcons did for Greg Brooks? Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, man, I did, and I love Ryan. His podcast, those guys chanting, and Fred. I play with those guys, but that was unbelievable. Greg Brooks, the LSU guy, and for Mr. Blank, is truly a great owner, and he's always trying to do things to give back and to help people out. And I don't know if he had anything to do with that. I know it was Raheem Morris, but I thought that was really cool, with my LSU ties, seeing that. And it looked like it truly touched Brooks' heart, and that's what it's all about.
It was pretty awesome, man. For those that missed it, we have a story up at LouisianaSports.net, but Raheem Morris's wife, Nikki, saw the Pivot episode with Greg Brooks and went to Raheem and was like, gotta help, what can we do? And so the Morrises invited Greg Brooks as a guest of the Falcons for a day. And so he got to go spend a day at the facility there with the team, and they gave him his own jersey. And his former teammate, Felipe Franks, with Arkansas, is with the Falcons now.
Right.
And they gave Greg Brooks his own jersey. The whole team came by and dapped him. It was awesome. I mean,
yeah, it was.
I hate the Atlanta Falcons with every fiber of my being, and you know that. But I agree with you on Arthur Blank. I mean, he's an owner who gets it and has clearly built great culture in that entire organization,
right,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to completely deviate there, but it was worth talking about. It was a really cool thing. Hey, you mentioned the transfers. Let me get a couple in there, because Braelin Moore and Josh Thompson have been, I think, objectively LSU's two best offensive linemen. They're also the most experienced. Yeah, okay, so elaborate. What do you like about the two of them?
I just love I think more than anything, their consistency. You watch the way they play the game and the way they get after it at the second level. I think Thompson at times this year hadn't looked as good because go back to combination blocks and D-line running twist games, and he's next to Davis, who's inexperienced, and sometimes what the right tackle's doing may make the right guard look a little worse. But those guys have been, you don't notice them, and when you don't notice an offensive lineman, they're getting the job done. And, those are two guys that were huge pickups for this O-line.
I asked Brian Kelly, two more. I asked Brian Kelly yesterday about the possibility of moving Josh Thompson to right tackle, because that's a position he played in 2023 at Northwestern. He was the starter there for every game, and then last year moved to right guard, and he's playing right guard now. What do you think about that as a possibility? Now, they said they're sticking with Davis. Kelly said they're sticking with Davis, but what would you think about that as a possibility?
Matt, right now, to me, Davis is struggling, and it's affecting our running game. It's affecting our passing game. The fact that a change hadn't been made already, it may be that we don't have anybody else or anybody they can trust, because believe me, those coaches, their jobs are on the line, and they're not going to keep putting a guy back out there if they feel like it's going to affect their job security. So right now, to me, they feel like, or so far, he's been their best option, and that's a little bit scary because he struggled. And normally, when you see a guy that's struggling that much, he would have already been replaced. Whatever will help this running game, man, and whatever will help us be able to get the ball down the field. And like you talked about, I don't know these guys. I haven't seen them practice, so I don't know how this group gels.
Last thing, Todd, what have been your early impressions of Carious Kern?
I loved him. And like I said, I haven't been in meetings. I don't know mentally, his assignments and all that stuff. But when he played in the Ole Miss game the other day, I was like, man, this dude's got to be in somewhere, But there's got to be something that's keeping him out of the game right now, whether it's the mental part of it, not knowing his assignments all the time. But as far as the physical attributes and the way he plays the game, his hands, his technique, looks like he should be in that line somewhere.
Why you said when you watched him against Ole Miss, what was it that stood out in the Ole Miss game?
His hands. I watched him whenever they said he was, going to be starting a game. So my eyes went there for just about the whole game because they've been there the rest of the season watching Davis struggle a little bit, and his pass sets were really good. His hands, how he would react to that defensive end going from inside to outside or outside to inside, his feet were good. I just love what he brings to the table, and but there's got to be a reason, whether they think he's a little bit behind with, and it could be the checks at the line of scrimmage, where he might be a little slow thinking when we go from one play to the next. I don't know what it is, but he has the physical attributes, in my opinion.
He's Todd McClure. Hey, y'all, go subscribe on YouTube or follow the page on Facebook, The Snap Back with T-Mac. You want to hear Todd McClure talking some football? Heck yeah, man. Snap Back with T-Mac. I love it, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Of course, dude. We always appreciate your time. Thanks for squeezing us in today, man. We'll catch up soon, all right?
All right. Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.